Morning everyone, and welcome to Fell Rider's Diaries. Now, this is Lake Windermere, or just Windermere, I call it Lake Windermere. And this is where I like to see it from. There's a viewing point just outside. It's not busy, it's not noisy, it's not touristy, it's not full of shops, it's not full of traffic. You've just got a rather lovely scenery. Not bad at all. We've got dusting of snow on the top of the mountains, which is nice. Don't expect that at the end of March. And this is my weapon of choice. I've had this bike 17 years now. And we start off the vlog telling you a little bit about this, I think. So, forgive me if this vlog takes about 2.5 hours. Still sounds good. So what we're going to do is we're going to exit Windermere, pick up the 591 and follow it down to Grasmere, I think. I think that'd be a good one to do. And in the meantime, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my motorcycle, because I think it's a very special bike. It's a 1997 Honda VFR 750, and it's a real rarity in the bike world as it's a V4, and you don't get many V4s, to be honest. Mainly because they cost so much to produce. When this bike first came out in its very first incarnation back in 1986, it was following on the heels of a Tector Force called the VF 750, which unfortunately was a huge disappointment to Honda and its owners. And to right that wrong, they completely over-engineered its replacement, the VFR 750, with its distinctive gear-driven cams. It's what gives this bike its sort of sewing machine sound, I suppose. And it's quite often held in the press as an enormous success. When Haslam, back in the 80s, took a stock motorcycle out of a showroom complete with tax disc, put some race tyres on it, and successfully took it to a second position in the Transatlantic Trophy. That's a stock road bike up against race prepared machines, and then sales just flew out the window after that. And I think then Honda knew what they had, and then they just improved the recipe over and over again until you get what I'm riding here, which is the 1997 model, the FV model. This is the last of the 750s, and the last of the carburetted models before they went for a capacity increase and fuel injection. And it is arguably the best of a long line of very good bikes. Ride magazine, Bike magazine called this the best motorcycle in the world. I can't exactly see that myself, but I'm not going to argue with them either. It is a phenomenal machine. Not for out and out speed, not for power to weight ratio. I mean, you can buy some of these size 0 supermodel R1s and goodness knows what else, and they'll be 50 kilos lighter and twice the power. But for real road riding, you have to give me going some to beat this. And I absolutely adore it. When I went travelling for an extended period of time, about 5+ years, and I sold everything in the UK. Sold my house, sold everything inside my house, I quit my job, took the money and ran. And the only thing I couldn't bring myself to sell was the guitars and this motorcycle. And so it stayed in a very good friend's garage for about 8 years until I got myself established up here. And then only at the end of last year, 2013, did we start making inroads into getting this running again. So it hadn't moved for 8 years. So every piece of rubber needed to be replaced. Every fork seal, every brake seal, every hose, every fluid needed to be changed. All the coolant, all the oil, brake fluid, fork oil. The whole bike got stripped down and put back together again by my fair hands. Not my choice. I would have happily thrown a stack of money at a garage to do it for me, because I'm no mechanic. But the mechanics or the garages up this way weren't interested, and so I went scouring through the internet and YouTube for information on how to get this bike back on the road, and I came across a very good website called Doughboys Garage. Look at that, just to take my mind off what I was doing. Look at that. Yeah, Doughboys Garage. It's an excellent YouTube channel which deals with basic bike servicing, and there's an ethos behind it, behind what he tries to teach people. And the ethos is basically this: two things. One, don't be a monkey, don't hang on spanners, don't over tighten things. And two, it's not rocket science, you can do this, it's only nuts and bolts. And so with this in mind, and with these videos to fall back on, I happily took the bike apart and put it back together again. Well, not entirely, but all the things that needed to be done. So that was basically strip down the forks, rebuild them, strip down the brakes, rebuild them, strip down the shock, excuse me, and send it off to be rebuilt. I can't do that, that's a specialist job. But I can strip down the rear swing arm, the rear hub assembly, the rear brakes, strip down the carbs, all cleaned, all reassembled, all back together again. And when this bike turned over for the first time in 8 years, oh my goodness me, my heart leapt, it really did. Because although I'm a car driver first, I think I'm more associated with the motorcycle. And isn't that a lovely story? Happy to have it back, that's for sure. So that's the breakdown of my VFR 750, and it's very timely because we're coming to Ambleside now, and Ambleside is a town at the top of Windermere. And we can have a little look at this. A rather convenient red lamp. Gives me a chance to nosy around. Try not to go into the car in front. Maybe filter a little. There we go. Superb. One of the lovely things about being a motorcyclist is that you can manipulate traffic to a certain degree. You know, you don't want to be a tit, you don't want to take advantage of it, you don't want to be hated for it, but certainly you're half the length and a third of the width of a regular car, and yet the performance that you have available to you for a vehicle that size allows you to manipulate traffic. You can do overtakes that you wouldn't do in a car. You can go at speeds that you wouldn't do in a car because there's not much mass moving around. Okay, with rider here at the moment we've got about 300 kilos. A regular car like this Ford car that's pulling out here, that's about a tonne. The Audi we just passed, about a tonne and a half. These are the differences. So with a motorcycle, you can abuse the laws of physics. Oh no, let's go straight on. A little further, because you don't have so much weight being thrown around. So here we go, just coming to Ambleside itself. Ambleside is like a three-pronged gateway. You can go north from Ambleside, towards Keswick, you can go south to Windermere, where we've just come from, or you can go east on the 593, and that will take you to Coniston. And we'll do Coniston another day, for two reasons. It takes me further away from home, and the 593, it's not a particularly nice road. It's a lot thinner than the other A roads. The surface isn't particularly good, and the traffic generally doesn't have the patience for either of those two. So I'd like to do Coniston on another day, but when I know it's not going to be so busy. At the moment we're midday on a Monday, and as we get closer and closer to Easter, it's going to become busier. But for now it's not too bad. So that's Ambleside at the northern end of Windermere. Not so big, is it? And as we carry on up the 591, we'll go through Vido Water. Vido Water is very pretty, and for some reason, I don't know why, I don't know how deep Vido is, but it always seems to be the most still of the lakes, and it gives a wonderful mirror effect. I don't know if we're going to have that today. It's a little bit windy today, but we'll have a look. Yeah, national speed limit 30 miles an hour. This is very typical. I mean, I can kind of understand it, because 80% of the people up here are going to be tourists or holiday makers. They're following their sat-navs, or they're following their partner's instructions. They don't know where they're going most of the time. And it wouldn't be unusual for someone just to stamp on their anchors and swing it into a beauty spot, into a driveway, to a hidden B&B, into a car park because someone decides it would be nice to pull over. And that's fine, you expect that. And as it's just a leisure ride, it doesn't mean anything. It's not a problem. When I'm out on the van and I've got several deliveries today, several deliveries to make in one delivery slot, and we're on a road that can do 60, or rather 50 in the van, and someone's doing 18, that's a little bit more of a nuisance. That's when you want a machine gun fitted to the front of your van. Sadly though, my particular employers take a rather dim view of that. Can't imagine why myself. So this is Vido to my left, and it doesn't look like we've got our mirror today, but it's still a very nice place to be. I'm sure most people in this country who are watching this by now have worked out for my European and American friends and Asian friends, the double white lines down the centre of the road means no overtaking. Now you can choose to break that law if you like, but generally this particular road sign is put there to warn of danger. What do we have? Well, and there's a solid white line again. So if the overtake was on, I'd get past maybe the black car in front. But the appearance is one of aggression, the one of impatience, the one of you can't wait to get past us all. And that's not really the promotion I want to give. I do have a Power Ranger outfit, which for the people wondering what I'm talking about is the one-piece race leathers. But it's not an association I particularly want anymore. What we got here? Nope. Like I said in my first vlog, I'm a bit older now. I'm much happier to sit back at a pace rather than constantly look for progress. So this to my left is Grasmere, and we'll pull into here, and I think we'll end this particular vlog there. I think that'll be our lot. A little bit of a frustrating ride because it would have been nice if it didn't have the traffic. You could flow a bit better, make slightly quicker progress, only slightly. Grasmere is also very popular, this time because of the poet William Wordsworth. He used to live here with his sister. Yeah, actually you can see the sign for it on the right hand side here. Dove Cottage, Wordsworth Museum. And for those who don't know, Wordsworth was the guy who wrote I wandered lonely as a cloud through highs and fells and blah blah blah. And supposedly the landscapes around here inspired him to do his best work. And again, it's one of these villages that relies upon tourism. I would say 70%, perhaps 80%, of all the properties in Grasmere are holiday homes, B&Bs, hotels, restaurants, cafes. You don't get many residents here. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but certainly out of season there's not a lot going on here. But it's a pretty enough little place. And again, you have these roads, you stay there. There we are. You see, if I moved over for that silver car approaching, he would have gone through that gap, which meant I had to move over. If I stick my ground, then he's got to stop, which is what he should do. I'm not here to educate people, but I'll do so if I have to. Certainly if my safety's compromised. You're going left. Okay. Was there any way for me to know that? Where's that bloody soapbox again? So there we go. And that's Windermere to Grasmere, pretty much. And I think that's going to be the last of these short videos for today. I may do about 3 or 4 of them, and that's going to buy me a little bit of time until I find out what it is I'm going to do next for you all. So have a good time everyone, enjoy your day, and I'll speak to you all soon.